I'm Tom Osman, and this is Whatever Comes Next, the podcast where I explore the world of underground and independent music making. And on today's episode, I am talking with Urlo, bassist and vocalist for psychedelic hard rock group Ufomammut, and also the sole creator of music as the MON. And as the MON, Urlo is releasing his third full-length record, Songs of Abandon, not this coming Friday, on the 7th of November. And this is actually part of a well, it's not exactly a double album. It's a 2-album concept. So Songs of Embrace will be the second part, a sort of instrumental companion piece to Songs of Abandon. And the 2 albums together are conceptually being referred to as Embrace the Abandon. But we are mostly here to talk about Songs of Abandon, which is the most acoustic guitar driven release, I think it's true to say, that Urlo has ever done. And there's a whole story behind the concept of how this album came together, which we get into in the interview. And it's an album where the songs and the melodies are really at the fore. And so we talk about that. We talk about the songwriting of the album, as well as some of the cool instrumentation and atmosphere that is built around these songs. And as well as that, we talk about a bit the history of the project. We get into some more philosophical conversations about what makes music heavy or otherwise. And that is more or less what we talk about. So you may, if you've been following the podcast, you will remember Urlo from episode 100, the DIY special, where he appeared with Lou and Poya as they collectively talked about Malleus and Supernatural Cat and Ufomammut, all of which Urlo is a part of. And other than that, Songs of Abandon will be available on various different formats, which you can get to through Supernatural Cat. Urlo has got some live dates coming up in the coming weeks to promote Songs of Abandon. And I think that's everything that needs to be said. You can follow me on all social media at Tom Osman Sounds. You can go to my website, tomosmansounds.com, to check out my music and writings on my music. So without further ado, Urlo of the MON and Ufomammut and Supernatural Cat and Malleus. Take it away. Thinking about the MON, so with your forthcoming album, Songs of Abandon, I think am I right to say this will be your 4th album as the MON?
No, it's the third album.
Oh, it's the 3rd album as the MON.
Yeah, because there was a EP with Colin of Amara, but it was just the same song on each side of the vinyl. It was a 12 inches, but the same song on one side was my version on the vocals, and on the other side was the one of Colin of Amara.
Okay.
So it's the third one.
The third one, yeah.
It will be let's say the third and the 4th one together, because it's a double work. It's quite difficult because it's not a double album, but it's like 2 albums that goes together.
Yes.
Because the first one, that is the one coming in November, Songs of Abandon, is more acoustic, and it's acoustic. It's an acoustic folk album, let's say. And when I finished this one, I was feeling that something was missing, and I was in some way a little, let's say, scared, because it was very different, a very clean album with just acoustic guitar, vocals, and some little subtle effect here and there. And so I started quite immediately thinking maybe I should do something for it. And the other part came like a long song, different parts, but like a suite, let's say. It was at the beginning. It was like 50 minutes. Then I started in cutting it and make it shorter and in its final version. And the idea of the first part was the idea of the abandon, and so the other part that is quite different because it's just instrumental with lots of synths, distortion, heavy parts, and so on. Seems to me that was something that was embracing what was abandoned. So I decided to go with titles like Songs of Abandon and Songs of Embrace, and then all together, the entire project was Embrace the Abandon. That was the main concept behind this thing, so this music.
So I've got questions about the way that you made the album, which from what I've read in the press release is very interesting. But another thing I was interested in was thinking about the way that you did construct these two different sides, these two different kinds of senses, like the abandon and the embrace. And I was thinking, going back to your first album as the MON, Doppelleben, there's this kind of concept of two lives. And I thought that's interesting that that sort of like dichotomy between two different sides would seem to be something that you've been interested in for a while. So is that something that's kind of come through at other points that you've explored?
Well, when I do music with them on, especially, I try to feel what I've got inside in a particular moment. The first album, Doppelleben, was came out in a period of my life in which things were changing a lot, and there were this duality in a lot of things, and then I was quite different because it was like thinking about it now, it was like an album of to share some music with the people I like Stephen Till, Colin, Dave, and Sarah, also my girlfriend. And it was a different thing, even if the title was readable from one side and the other one. It was, and this time was Songs of Abandon was like probably you read. It was a sort of challenge.
Yeah,
I did with myself to write a song every day and see what could came out. And I took at the beginning it was the idea was a week. Then I had two more songs I had in my mind, so it came out with 9 songs. And then there was yes, of course, there was this thing that was it was 2021, so it was. While I was mixing while we were working on, I think, Fenice, probably, the first album with the band. And so it was something that's remained in the record. I recorded these songs and they remained there aside for a while. And when I kept them back and I started again in listening to them, I changed the mix I did the first time because it was a very, too much spacey, too much psychedelic. And so I dried the songs and it came out in my mind, this idea of the abandon and the embrace. So the need of create another part for these songs. And even if when people will listen to the two albums together, it would be strange that they are the how can I say the face of the same coin.
yeah.
But they are at the end because when I finished the second part, it was like what I'm gonna do now. A double album, not. I don't like it. I could do the first part like only digital, but the other one would be missing something and vice versa. So I said, okay, let's do this. Let's try to do this crazy thing of putting out the two parts, and let's see what it will come out. And it's nice that I will have a few dates, a few gigs in November and December, so I will have the time to play just these acoustic songs before the two parts will go together. So I will do something different and play a part of the gig more acoustic and another part coming from the second album. So
Yeah.
also curious about it.
I like that that description you had of saying of like drying out the songs, like making them less psychedelic, because when I first listened to the album, I was surprised with how sort of prominent the acoustic guitar was. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting, like, because I think I listened to it the first time before I actually read the information about it. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to sound like that. And then when I listened to it more, I felt like the textural elements, like the extra instrumentation, is used in a very effective way. Like there's a lot of different atmosphere that comes through, which is very nice. But I like the fact that the guitar is so prominent with the vocals, because I think that for example, like one of my favorite tracks is Two Stones, and I really like the chord progressions that you've got for that. Like the way it starts in a fairly sort of traditional way. Like, okay, I recognize this progression, but the different progressions you have later was surprising to me. Like, you know, when you've been a fan of music for decades and you've heard so much different music, it's like so often you hear a song and you're like, okay, like we go from that chord to that chord. So I really appreciated the surprise, and it was like there was something kind of emotionally satisfying in it. Like it felt very organic that you're going in these directions that I didn't expect. So I think that the songwriting is kind of fascinating, and it's nice that it has the opportunity to sit at the front, but you still, when you listen to the music more, you get to appreciate the layers, but they're not kind of like fighting to have space.
Okay. Thank you, first of all. And yes, because the first mix was just guitar and vocals, but I put a lot of effects on the guitar, so reverbs, delay, but it was too much also in the vocals. And something that I'm trying to do with Ufomammut in the last albums is to keep away a little of the effects from the vocals, for example, because I've started in using vocals and also the music in another way. So I'm trying to explore different paths. And then when I tried the songs, I found out that this acoustic guitar was sounding good with the vocals, and I tried to understand how to use the side vocals as an effect. For example, there's a song, I don't remember if it's Hourglass. No, it's I don't remember. Anyway, in which there is if you pay attention, there is the main vocals, but the side vocals are quite prominent, and they create a different. I mean, you can sing the song in one way or in the other way, but they stay together. And also, I mean, I tried to have a sort of. I started mixing again, trying to have a more folk album, but then it was too much folk, in my opinion. So I said, okay, it's good because now I like the sound, and I can feel the guitar as it was played when I played for recording the songs. And then I try to add in some little things like little sounds or opening for the songs with some other instruments, or just an EBow guitar, just to create.
I was going to ask you. I thought there was EBow in there, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
interested that you say there was. Yeah.
And at the end, it was what I was thinking about it. Also, I have this friend of mine. I sent it a lot of time the album, and he was saying, "It's missing something," and it was, oh, Okay, okay. He listened to totally different music than me, so it was quite fun to understand what he get in mind. And at the end, it was okay. Now I quite like it. It was okay, so I'm happy. I probably found a way. So it's been a long process, even if it's starting from the fact that I'm not a guitar player. So it took a lot of time to have this album sounding the way I had in mind.
Yeah.
Now I'm quite happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear that the various different parts of that process of getting it to finally sound the way you wanted. I mean, to the point of what you were saying there about sort of making decisions about what little extra elements to add, like thinking about some of the intros, I really like the start to Beautiful Star, the second last track.
Yeah.
There's like this the sounds and the whatever this kind of like bubbling sort of effect that you've got at
Yeah.
the beginning. That's really cool because it's like it sounds just aesthetically really interesting, but it's something that's not been there at all. So it adds that unique quality to that track. And there are other interesting aspects as well, like on the Fluorescent Saint. It made me think, and I think like when we had that interview before with you and Lou and Poya, I think we talked about Black Sabbath a bit, and obviously, like there's the inspiration of Black Sabbath in your music.
Yeah.
What I like, one of the things I like in Songs of Abandon is that there were moments where I thought of Black Sabbath, but I feel like a lot of the time when people think of Black Sabbath, they think of the riffs. But
Yeah.
like Black Sabbath have got so much more to them. There's sometimes there's like a kind of a sci-fi quality and something kind of like supernatural. And when I found myself thinking of Black Sabbath with the album, it was that kind of element. Like on the Fluorescent Saint, there is something a bit Sabbathy about that, but it's not like Sabbath riffs, if you know what I mean. Like I don't know if you felt that connection.
It's a sort of atmosphere. Yeah. I think that one of the most difficult things I tried to do in this album is to put some of let's call it evil atmosphere. That is something that we usually tried to do also with Ufomammut since the beginning. The idea of the evil atmosphere, that is something that is very Sabbath, of course. And another great inspiration was Sid Barrett, the way he played his acoustic songs. And I think that is something that you can hear sometimes with some chords and things like that. And also in Sid Barrett, there is this kind of weird, evil atmosphere that is like a black cat that is moving on a guitar. And yes, I think it was. I mean, when you play with an instrument that is quite, it's so naked, let's say, it's more difficult to give it a sense and the idea you want to keep outside. So sometimes these little sounds that you can hear in the album helped a lot, like the bubbles at the beginning or the music that raise up and other little the ebo guitar that is in some parts. It's something that can give this strange atmosphere and make something that is, if you think about it, is still quite empty as a song because there's no drums, there's no bass, there's no piano or whatever. There's just a guitar, and then you have these sounds that make it quite full and not too much, but I think it's something that is more complete, let's say, for a song of this kind.
Yeah, I'm fascinated that you brought up the evil, the sense of wanting to have something evil there, because that was also something that I picked up on, and I hadn't thought of Sid Barrett, but that makes a lot of sense, and it also connects to something else I was thinking of with the Moon and the Devil. So it's like the guitar part itself is very simple, but I found with that one, maybe more than any other track, that one had that kind of supernatural sinister feeling to it for me. And I was sort of curious about how you managed to capture that. And it made me think of The Wicker Man, that movie.
Mhm.
And I thought that's kind of funny now that you mentioned Sid Barrett, because all of these things are English. There's something like a sort of a paganistic Englishness, which has kind of got from some, if it's like from a sort of traditional Christian point of view, then things pagan are sort of associated with the devil and associated with evil. And then, with Sid Barrett, there's that association of madness, and that, in a sense, also can kind of swirl away in that whole kind of realm. But I was curious specifically with that track, like there's something in it sonically that to me made me think of decay. It's like something is sort of disintegrating, and I don't know what instrument that is or how you got that effect, but do you know what I mean? There's something there in it that sort of feels like it's falling to pieces, and
Okay.
somehow that to me captured that sort of sinister supernatural feeling.
I think that the instrument I used in this song, apart from the guitar, probably is the E-bow guitar, because there is this sound that grows in the middle of the song, if I'm not wrong, if I remember right. And let's say that the thing I like to do is with my so basic skills as a guitar player is to find some chords that are in some way um, weird,
Yeah.
because this is an instrumental song, the Moon and the Devil, and when I heard, when I was searching for titles for the songs, I probably had the same impression you had, because the atmosphere that this song gave to me was the atmosphere of the night, of the moon, a full moon at the end, and the devil. So something, let's say, evil that was hidden in the song. But I don't know. It's something that came like a bolt at the end. I was just trying to find the right how can I say, uh, chords after chords, put them together. This little arpeggio. What's the
We
Italian? The
have the
English?
same word.
Ah, okay, arpeggio, and so it was sounded quite, I don't know, linear, but at the same time messy, and it was nice to, because let's say the most difficult songs are probably this one for me, and Little Bird.
I was going to say, actually, that's my other favorite song on the album. I
Yeah.
think that one sounds really beautiful. And it has such a surprising transition as well in the song, which again takes it into a more kind of unsettling mode.
Okay. Yeah, because this one was inspired, for example, by Blackbird. I mean, I was trying to play Blackbird in that period too, and I was saying, "Oh wow, this is fantastic!" And then I had the first three chords coming out. I said, "Not bad. Let's try to find out," and so on. And then it's nice because music is strange, because everybody can listen something different in the songs, obviously. And when I first make my girlfriend heard of this song, Little Bird, she said, "Ah, looks like it seems to me like a Cure song." And I say, "Oh, not my cup of tea." Yeah, I mean, I like some songs, but it was it's strange. And why the other friend of mine says, "Oh, this is too much Beatles for me," and it's nice. I like this kind of thing, and it's obvious at the end.
Yeah, that's fun. That's funny as well that you say about Blackbird. Obviously, like, with bird in the title, there's that kind of association. It did make me think of that a little bit, even though I wouldn't really connect it to like the chord progression in a particularly strong way. I did think though, listening to that track, and this is sort of maybe going back to the way that you chose to produce it, there is something very beautiful in the sound of it. And I wasn't sure whether you had layered guitars in that or if it was effects or if it was both. Like, from a technical point of view, how did you get the sound of that track?
I think that in this track, if I'm not remembering wrong, there is the arpeggio, a couple of layers of arpeggio, and then there is probably there are the chords below, and then surely there's something else, but I don't remember. There's this. I think that in Blackbird too. Let me think about it. There is an Ebo guitar probably, and then a piano or something like that. That
Okay.
just do the notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, usually when I recorded the tracks, there was a couple of guitars doing the same thing, just to have the stereo, and then something more direct in the middle. Like for example, in lots of songs, there is just the chords doing the rhythm, and in this one, I think there were the chord moving, following the arpeggio, and but I don't remember exactly. I don't want to say.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about, this actually also goes back to an interview I did before I did video interviews like this, when I was just doing the via email. I interviewed a guy called Aaron Pickford. I don't know if you know this name, but he runs a UK label called Sludge Lord Records, an underground label that do a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of like doom and sludge stuff, as you might expect from the name. And I asked him this question, and I was like, because a lot of the stuff they have is like very sonically heavy. I asked him at the time, like, what do you think is the heaviest music out there at the moment? And I think I brought up like Full of Hell. I was listening to a lot of Full of Hell at the time. I'm like, that's like really like abrasive and heavy. And he kind of surprised me because he answered in a different way than I expected. He said, well, like what's heavy can be like Nick Cave, for example, like from a sort of like an emotional resonance point of view. And it stuck with me because I thought, it is interesting sometimes, like, some of the music I like is really sonically overwhelming. And so I thought, like, Neurosis is a good example. But then you can have something that is, in a way, a lot more delicate, like a lot of Steve Von Till's solo work, but it's still very powerful. You don't have to have really loud guitars and loud drums in order for something to be powerful. So it's kind of interested from your point of view, because you've made, very sonically large music with Ufomammut, and you've made music as the MON in different ways. Like this Songs of Abandon's probably the most kind of delicate, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you've explored different kind of like sonic ranges before. So I'm wondering if that's a kind of a dimension that you've thought about much in terms of like, what is the power of the music, and how do you kind of put that across, depending on whether you have like a full band versus you have just you and the particular instrumentation that you choose?
Well, first of all, I think it's a question, a matter of attitude, because there are some bands or some solo projects that are incredibly heavy, even if they are not heavy. Like a musician that I like and I think is quite powerful is Mika P. Hinson, for example, because he got this attitude, and his songs are really how can I say, lovely but evilish at the same time. Or a band that I'm listening a lot lately are Oxen, that they are, let's say, not acoustic, but not heavy band, not an heavy band, but the power that they gave out with the music is incredible, in my opinion. And so, like Nick Cave, for example, is another guy. I haven't seen him live in my life, but for what I've seen on YouTube or videos and whatever, it should be an experience. And this is very important, I think. It's not just I mean, there are a lot of bands that have heavy guitars and super loud bass tones and whatever, but it's not only this that makes the music heavy, I think. It's it's the song, the way it's built. it's the attitude, the way you play the song, and I don't know, Welcome to the Machine is one of the heaviest songs ever. We play it live now, and we do an heavy version, but at the end, when we get quite at the end of the song, we have this guitar doing the same note and the bass repeating the things, but it's quite relaxed. And every time I think in my head, wow, this is really heavy. How how can they make create a song like that? How could Pink Floyd create a song like that? And there are a lot of also a lot of songs of the Beatles are quite heavy. If we think about, I don't know, apart from Helter Skelter, but there are lots of songs.
Well, I guess even like the song "She's So Heavy."
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and they didn't have big MPEG or green heads or whatever. They just played the way they felt. This is the most important thing. Also, Black Sabbath, if you think about it, it was in the 70s. Okay, they had heavy tones, but it was something that they were creating at that time using different equipment than today. So it's incredible at the end.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's a really good point that you make, because I feel like that is something that's like intangible that often is lost. Like, when we think about things on a sort of a mass market mainstream point of view, it's like maybe something from the underground becomes popular. So I don't know, like let's just say Nirvana, for example. And then so there's kind of an awareness of like, oh, okay, this band seems to have this particular sound. How can that be replicated? And so you end up getting to a stage where like pop music can effectively have like overdriven guitars, but it doesn't have any of this kind of like power that we're talking about, because it's just sort of an artificial recreation of like, what is the thing if you like color code to go like, this is how we make something heavy, but it doesn't have the like the feeling or the human emotion or the intensity or whatever. So it's kind of interesting to look at that and go like, why is this missing something, and sort of recognize what's missing.
Yeah. There's been, for example, when Kyuss became a little bigger, there were a lot of bands playing like Kyuss, and there was always this guitar doing things like that, and it was exhausting every time. It was but I don't know. There was not the same people doing obviously this guitar, because if you listen to this guitar from Josh Homme, it has a sense, otherwise not. And the same for a lot of other kind of music. And like Nirvana, when Nirvana came out, it was something unexpected for that moment. Then after, a lot of band came doing the same things, but it was not the same. Led Zeppelin and Greta Van Fleet, for example, it's I mean, one is Led Zeppelin, the other band is a good band, but nothing more. And the problem is also the people listening to music problem. I mean, the thing, a lot of people sometimes says, I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna go to the concert of these bands because they sounds like Black Sabbath. You say, yes, okay, why? and, but I mean, it's something that I mean, it's normal that it's like that, but let's say that the real sound is something that is strictly connected to some people that created the song, that kind of sound. Like I don't know, another great guy is great musician is Jack White.
Mm-hmm.
The way he plays guitar is incredible, for example, and
Yeah, very, very kind of unique.
yeah, but uh, then there is other people trying to do the same things, but it's not the same. I mean, something is missing, and even if he was just playing with the guitar and drums, and not a great drums behind him, it was amazing at the end because there was this way of playing that was unique. It is unique, yeah. So.
Yeah, good point. And then, so thinking about, you mentioned having some live dates that you're going to have promoting the album in November and December. So, what have you got in mind in terms of how you're going to represent these songs on stage?
I don't know. I think I will use probably the acoustic guitar for sure, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I have a little more time for before the fall, and let's say that I've got a festival in July, and I tried this combination of acoustic guitar with my pedal board, the pedal board I use for the MON, and it was quite weird. I mean, because also I did everything with the acoustic guitar because also the songs that has a bass, like for example, the Sun or the Manual of Our Remains from previous albums, were were quite weird because if you manage some good effects with the acoustic guitar, you can find different sounds that are quite good. So I think that I will try to do the first part of Songs of Abandon in December and November. I will use the acoustic guitar. Then I will have to study a little more complicated, let's say, set for the other part because I will need some probably synths and other instruments, but I will see. I have
Yeah,
time.
indeed, you have time. And so, so thinking about the release of the album, then you mentioned that at a certain point you were thinking about just putting it out digitally, but are there going to be physical versions of the album coming out?
Yeah. There would be for both the albums. There would be the vinyl version, and we usually do a limited edition version.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
read that there's one particular version is going to be 100 copies. I
yeah.
think I read. Yeah.
There is 100 copies, and we have studied this outer sleeve to put the two albums inside. So there will be this extra thing, and it's all hand printed here at Malleus. So it's been quite a good work. I think that we do for every release we do with Supernatural Cat, but this one was a little simply more simply than simple than what we did for some albums. Like for example, I remember when it was Fenice from Ufomammut, we got totally crazy because we had to glue parts, cut them, fold in some, so it was crazy. Then there will be anyway a regular version of the album of the vinyl, and
Yeah.
then CD, and of course digital too. And so every kind of I think no cassette is not no cassette, no tape for this time.
Okay. No, but that's great. That's great to have those different options like that. And I think it's, sometimes like with records that I get, sometimes I'm happy just to have the vinyl of an album, and then sometimes I want to have a particular special edition. So it's cool to have the option between the two.
Yeah. Also, the limited edition will have not only the vinyl, but also the CD and the digital code inside. So everything together in at one time. So it's okay.
Very cool.
Crazy. Yeah, totally crazy. We got crazy.
And in terms of the live shows, like, is that kind of for the rest of the year, is that all fixed what you're going to play, or is there still a possibility you might announce some more dates?
No, I'm in December. I still have to day off, so maybe if something will come out, it's okay. And then I'm working for next year for spring. I will be touring with Cariti. She's I don't know if you know her. She's a Russian Italian girl. I
Not
mean, a
sure.
Russian girl living in Italy. It's a folk project. Uh, it's not folk. I mean, it's atmospherical and very nice. And we are friends since years. So especially with his husband, that is the guitar player of Grime from Italy.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, Cariti is the name with the K. And listen to her. It's
I
very
will.
cool. And we are working on a tour for spring. So let's say then if I will be able to find some other gigs in Italy and some festival maybe. And it's weird because I'm used to play in a band. So going around, there is let's say a staff of people, different. And while with the MON, I'm one or two people, depending on the time. So it's a little strange. When I start the tour, it's always like, or I go out for playing, it's okay, let's go. Oh, no, I'm just myself. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Where is everybody?
So, but it's okay. I'm very happy that it's happening, that I'm starting in playing more, and it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew it was going to take a lot of time when I started, but it was not for, it was something that started just for the pleasure of doing something different and just for me at the end. So it's good when you notice that the thing is growing, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, well, I've been really enjoying listening to the album, and then so to get your insights of the way that it came together has been really fascinating too. So definitely a worthwhile project. So yeah, I think it's really cool. And it's always kind of interesting to do something that's a bit out of the comfort zone. So there's always kind
Thank
of
you.
possibilities from that. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's very important to search inside ourselves to find what we have, because usually we stay in our comfort zone, and it's okay, but sometimes when you put your feet outside and you see, oh, there's another world there, so let's explore it. It's good.